Hey guys, welcome to this week's video where I want to talk to you all about how to draw facial expressions, something that I find a lot of people can tend to have trouble with, something I definitely had trouble with when I was a lot younger, when I was starting to draw, and just drawing very simple faces, just standard smiles and whatnot, without really considering how the different aspects of the face can react to the muscles that are moving when you're making certain expressions, like being happy or being sad, being angry or bored, or when you're yelling at someone. So I just want to go through a few basic ones. I'm just going to do 8 today. I'm going to do a few simple ones just to show you guys what I mean, and then we're going to take it over to one of my characters and apply these facial expressions into that character and just see the differences that it makes and what we can do to really push the boundaries of the character design to really make those facial expressions really prominent and exciting. So we're just going to do a couple of the standard ones. The first one being happy, of course, and sad. They're sort of your two main ones. Then we move into something a little bit more complicated with mad, and then even annoyed. We're also going to have a look at someone yelling, surprised, someone who's a little bit suspicious, and then we're also going to do someone who's just generally quite bored. Alright, so they're the 8 ones that we're going to do today, so let's have a look at the character that we're going to be playing with. So for those of you who have been watching some of the videos, one of the characters I've been drawing a lot of is a pig character called Chris P. Bacon. I figured this would be a really interesting one to play with as far as facial expressions go, because being a pig, he has quite large ears, which really can lend itself to how we can really push those expressions, and I'll show you guys what I mean by that in a minute. But this is a nice little quick sketch of Chris. Not the best, but just getting those sort of basic elements in there. But this is the guy we're going to be working with. So I want to take this character here and I want to apply those facial expressions that we just drew here and see how we can make some changes into this face to make these guys all work out. Of course, there's far more than the 8 here that I'm going through, but I just wanted to do some basic ones to begin with, and if you guys enjoy this, then we can start playing around with some more facial expressions too, like laughing, terrifying faces, crying, things like that. So let's just start with this. Alright, so just to keep it simple, I'm just going to do a side-on view, or a 3/4 view as some call it as well. I'm not going to really change this around, just so you guys can get an idea of how I'm going to draw the facial expressions, rather than having to complicate things and what angle they're going to be looking at and how that implicates things. Just keep it nice and simple to begin with. So we're going to start with happy. So generally with happy, you're going to have your eyebrows raised up, nice big eyes. Of course, his little snout there. Generally, unless you're doing things like mad or angry faces where the nose tends to scrunch up, we're not going to play around with that too much. And then here, just a nice little happy face, which I suppose here looks a little bit like a sausage, but we just want to get that nice curved line like we've got here, like that. You could just do a nice simple line to show that he's happy, or I always like to just push it a little bit more and have him his mouth open, just to show he's a little bit happy. But if you just want just a normal happy, even just that nice line will work. If you really want to push those boundaries a bit, like we were saying before, you can even push up the cheeks here a bit, make them a little bit more rosy. Just to show here where the edge of his mouth is, you can see that's pushing the cheek up against the eyelid. And I think that makes for a really cute face too, rather than something that's just a little bit more bland. Alright, I think I'm going to ditch the pencil. I'm really enjoying just working with the texture here. So there we go. So these are just going to be quick sketches, nothing too fancy. And then again, with the ears, I always seem to do this ear shorter when I first draw him. And there we go. So we've got Chris, just a nice happy face, and then we're going to draw Chris sad. So let's have a look again at the difference between the two. So happy, just that nice curved upwards smile. So now we're pretty much going to do the opposite there. And there's a few ways we can do this, but we're just going to do a general sad for that. Again, we're going to start up with the raised eyebrows for this one. I'm going to do the nose first, get that in the center there, and then standard eyes like we did before, but most of this is just going to be in the mouth here. So what I've also done is I've added a little extra line here just to emphasize the lower lip, that his lips are sort of pouting out a little bit, but this one's pretty simple, nothing too fancy. If you wanted to, just to really emphasize that point, like I was saying with the ears here, we could really sort of droop the ears a little bit more. And you can see the difference where these ears are pointed up to really emphasize the expression on his face and just to push everything upwards, give that feeling that he's quite happy, whereas here it really sort of helps get that point across here where that he's just a little bit sad. And what we could do is even just angle those eyebrows up just a little bit more, and even if you wanted to, again, just lifting those cheeks up just to show that he's probably on the verge of crying here. He's a pretty sad dude, unfortunately. But we're going to move away from there, and we're going to go with a nice mad expression. This one, I'm going to start with the nose here, and the reason I want to do that is I want to put a couple of little scrunch lines in here. So if you think about when you put on a mad face or you're angry at someone, your nose tends to scrunch up a little bit. So I'm just emphasizing that point there. Nothing too fancy, nice and simple. Then we're going to come in with the eyebrows here, pointed downwards. He's an angry dude. And what this is going to do when we come into the eyes, so if we're looking here, we've got those nice round eyes. The eyebrows are going to push down on the eyes here. So the eyes are going to push down accordingly as well. So we're going to keep that nice round shape at the bottom, but we're just losing the top bit where the eyebrows sort of come into it, and we're sort of squinting them a little bit as well. So he's mad, he's looking at someone, and again we're going to put in that little sort of pout line there. So he's not sort of all the way mad, but he's a little bit grumpy, and we're going to keep the ears pointing up on this one, just to really show that he sort of means that he's not too happy about what's going on. We're going to go a little bit more disappointed now. And we're going to keep those eyebrows there nice and straight. So rather than having them raised or angled, we're going to keep them nice and straight, but they're still going to sit just on top of the eyes there. And with the mouth here, we're just going to use a nice small one, just to he's pushing his mouth over to the side of his face. He's just a little bit not too happy with what he's just found out. Maybe he's found out that someone sold the last ice cream that he wanted, or something simple like that. I don't know. So there's a few of those faces. So that's the first four. I'm going to move on to the next ones, which are a little bit more emotable. I don't even know if that's a word, emotable, but we're going to try it out anyway. So we'll get a few extra faces ready here. we're just going to keep that simple design as well. As you can see, I'm just messing up here too. Like, I'm not really caring too much about what I'm doing. I'm just doing this for the sake of practice, to show you guys just the fundamentals and how I draw this. I'm also apparently making a mess of my table, but whatever. Okay, so we're going to go with like yelling, like really angry. So we're going to sort of take this one here and just push that a little bit further. So I'll leave that one there just so you guys can see the original. And then we're going to take some of these elements and then we're just going to change them up a bit. So again, there's the nose. And I'm really pushing here with those scrunch lines where I'm actually sort of drawing them out from the nose. So you can see it's really sort of flaring up a bit. I'm really pushing down on the eyebrows too. So now the difference here is you can see that I've pushed up the bottom of the eyelids. What I plan on doing there is with the mouth, I'm going to push it up like that. So again, when it comes to the happy face, how the tips of the mouth, we're pushing the cheeks up, it's a very similar thing. So what we've got there is the cheek pushing up against the eyes. So we're using that same element, but because we've got these mixing elements of the pointed down eyebrows, the scrunch nose, we're starting to see a real difference in his emotion. And what I like to do, although some people aren't big fans of it, I actually like to join the bottom of the mouth to the bottom line of the face. Some people won't because you lose the chin a little bit there, but for the style of the character, I think it really works. Bit of teeth. And what I like to do, especially with an angry face, if I put a tongue in, I generally try and make it small. I find when I draw a larger tongue, it just sort of shows that they're a little bit happier, a little bit nicer. The smaller tongue just emphasizes that they're just, you know, they're so angry. To be honest, I can't even describe it properly right now, but I just like the look of how it looks there. Another thing I like to do with really mad faces is I like to minimize the pupils. As you can see here, he generally has bigger pupils, nice and bright, whereas here, just shrinking those pupils really helps aid in getting the point across that, you know, he's a one pissed off dude. And then with this one too, what I want to do, and you don't have to, again, these ears make things a little bit easier to throw that emotion around. You wouldn't be able to do this with a normal human face, but what I'm going to do is raise those ears. Just to really, really show how angry he is. Thin neck, just to show that he's, you know, pushing forward, like he's really yelling at someone. And if you're, you know, wanting to really add some fun to it, you can even add a few action lines there just to show that he's, you know, really having it out with someone. Alright, the next one we're going to do is, I believe it was scared or terrified. So let's do that one there. This one's going to be similar to the sad one, but just a nice extension of that. Oh, I think it was surprised, actually. Yeah. So, and his nose there. Now we want to have some really high, pointed up eyebrows. Really wide eyes. Nice big pupils, like I was saying before. And we're actually going to use a really similar mouth here. We're not going to make it as sort of sharp, but we're going to keep that nice wide mouth in there. So once we add that jawline in. And this one can go one of two ways as well, so we could even point those ears out like we did before, just to really show that surprise there. And what I've done there, just to give you guys a bit more of an understanding of what I was talking about, adding in that larger tongue compared to the smaller tongue, you see how that really helps emphasize the point of his anger here. Compared to here, you can see he's still a sort of docile character, and you know, he's just had a bit of a fright. So really subtle differences that really make the difference. So if we pointed down the eyebrows, already just by adding those lines, we can actually see quite a similarity of how angry he's become. Okay, so I'm not sure what happened, but my phone decided to stop filming just after I was finishing with this guy. So I'm really sorry about that. I didn't realize, so I finished sketching these guys out, but I'm just going to go back over them to show you guys what I'd done and said, you know, just to give you guys an idea of these faces. So here we were doing the suspicious face. So what I'll do is I'm just going to draw over this just to give you guys an idea of the exact things. So for the main one, let's have a look here. This was the original design for the suspicious face. As you can see, I've got the one eyebrow raised look. So what I've done is I've pushed the eyebrow up and just raised it a little bit slightly too, so it's not on too much of a flat angle. And this guy is just nice and straight, pushing the eye down a little bit here. Whereas this eye is nice and prominent and round still. When I did this design, I had him looking backwards as if there was maybe something behind him, creeping up on him. And what I've done with the mouth too is I've done almost like a very similar mouth you would do if someone was whistling. Just a small mouth, a little bit curious, sort of unsure of what's going on. And now to emphasize that point of that suspicion here, what I did with the ears was push this one ear up to follow with the eyebrow, just to give that impression that he's sort of listening on what's happening behind him, whereas this ear is just pushed down a little bit more normal to follow his eyebrow there. I also added in a few extra lines here and here, just to sort of show that he's a little bit scared too. So given the situation, you may or may not use those, but think along the lines of Scooby-Doo. They're walking down a hallway and they hear a creepy noise. You know, this is the sort of situation I was imagining him in there. For this one, I was just doing a bored face. This one was really simple, almost kind of like a mixture of a happy and sad face, where we've got the eyebrows raised, but they're sort of pushing down on the corners here a little bit. He's just not really having a good time. It's pushing down on the eyelids here. He's sort of looking down like, you know, I'd rather be anywhere else right now. His nose, just a normal nose. And with his mouth, just really flat and emotionless. There's just not a lot going on there. And that's really just helping push that point. It's like, you know, I just don't want to be here. I don't want to be listening to Chris on YouTube talking again about, you know, how to draw faces. This is boring. And again, with the ears too, like looking back now, I really could have just like pushed them down again as well. Similar to the sad face that we did over here. But this guy, he's just bored. He, you know, he's not really showing much emotion. He just wants to be anywhere else. So yeah, that was pretty much it as far as drawing facial expressions. I just wanted to cover a few today. I didn't want to go crazy and do like a whole bunch, like a dozen of them. 8 is definitely enough for the first video. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope this helps anyone who has trouble drawing faces. I really enjoyed doing this actually, because this is a nice practice for me, as this is a character I'm going to be playing with a lot really soon for my Monkey Junk comic, so keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching. Please, if you enjoyed the video, give the video a like, and please leave a comment too. If it helped you out, please let me know. If you've got any suggestions for future videos, or if you just want to say hello, I love to hear from you guys, and I always try and comment back as quickly as I possibly can. Otherwise, I'll be doing these videos every week next to my daily vlogs, as well as the Art Bastards, which you can check out on Thursdays. So please hit the subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on any of the new videos. But I'll be doing tutorial videos like this every Tuesday, which I think will be Monday for you folks in the States and anywhere else. But I'm here in Australia, so it'll be every Tuesday in Australia. And wherever else around the world. Thanks again guys for watching, and I'll catch you all next week. Goodbye.